Hey, what's going on, everyone? Back for another LOL slate. Another 5 game slate for tomorrow, starting at 2 a.m. as usual, Eastern Time. Yesterday, a couple of upsets, but had the DRX stack, so I was able to cash and double ups in cash games with like a 370. The TS stack was very popular in cash, so even though I had Knight and had QQ, it still was fine because they were over 40, almost 50% owned in cash. So looking to keep it going tonight. Hopefully we can cash in tournaments as well. So let's get into it. You can drop a like down below and subscribe if you have not already. Starting off here, just looking at the games to figure out which team I kind of like in each game. First game up, OMG versus Lgd Gaming. Last time out, Lgd Gaming pulled off the upset as I thought they would against RNG. Tonight, they're also underdogs against OMG, but this game could go either way. I don't feel confident that OMG is going to win this game. I think LGD, they've been playing good. Recently, they've won, recently been winning a lot higher percentage of their games. If you see, in the beginning of the year in early March, they were awful, but recently they've been winning quite a bit of games, so I don't think it's a easy stack against. Next game, I kind of like APK Prince here. Just recently, they've been playing great compared to HLE. They've been struggling recently, so I do like APK Prince. Both teams have identical records, and Prince is pretty affordable, and they've been playing good, so I like APK Prince. Decent amount tonight. E-Star's been struggling recently. They've lost 3 in a row, lost 6 of their last 7 games. So I think that, in individual games, 3 in a row, and so they've been struggling, but I think they have been regarded as one of the best teams. Early on, they were looking dominant. I think they'll get back on track very soon. We has played okay as late, up and down a little bit, but they've been playing a little bit better recently. I still like E-Star in this game, and I do like the players from E-Star. Hopefully, people are down on them just looking at the box scores, but I do think that one game E-Star gets back on track and has a big outing, then we've seen their players put up huge scores, so definitely looking at E-Star tonight. The KT stack is probably one of my favorites tonight. Sandbox Gaming is just pretty bad. KT has played very well recently, and just over the last couple weeks, they've been playing decent, except for a bad outing against DRX, and then APK Prince pulled off the upset against them. But I expect them to win. Sandbox Gaming doesn't really put up much of a fight in this one, I would expect. And the last game, Rogue Warriors, 3,600, the cheapest team on the slate. They're 13-16, facing off against a 16-12 team. And RNG looking like a lot of people will be on them tonight. But Rogue Warriors have the ability to pull off an upset here. So if they are expensive, so I don't think I'll have a lot of RNG tonight. Mainly looking at sticking with the KT stack, sticking with some E-Star, probably gets them at lower ownership just based on how they played recently. And I like APK Prince a lot as well. Starting off here at Captain, Wink and Crying. A lot of the players from ES are the most expensive, Wink and Crying, but that's because besides the last 3 games where they've struggled, before that they were dominant, putting up monster scores, well over 100 fantasy points for Crying, well over 100 fantasy points for Wink. So I do think that they're worth the prices. Don't know if I can get to them at Captain, but we'll try to get them at their normal positions. From the KT side, my favorite player is Aiming. He just has the highest ceiling, been the most consistent. I like the stack quite a bit, and I like Aiming a lot. You could even play my Captain. I think that's looking like a pretty nice play. Kuro from that side, I could play a Captain if you want at mid. That's kind of it. I don't think I'll go super cheap at Captain today because I do think that there's cheap stacks like Prince. I like that cheap stack a decent amount. KT stack isn't overly expensive, so Aiming at Captain I like a lot. At top lane, Lang X is expensive. I'll look at some cheaper plays, probably going with the KT top, so on, at 6K. You can go a little bit cheaper if you want. If you think Lgd Gaming can pull off an upset again, you could pick from there. They're pretty cheap. But really, I'd probably go with the KT top, or would spend up a little bit more for the ES in Xiaobai at 7,000. Jungler, we looks pretty good at 7,000 or 7,400. Hacker looks decent, 6,800. KT stack is pretty cheap. Bono's only 6,200. That looks good. Flawless, 5,800. Also in consideration. At mid is probably where I'll try to spend up. I like to spend up at mid and ADC the most. I'm looking at Crying a lot. Looking a little bit at Kuro at 7,000. And the APK is pretty cheap. Cover at 6,200, but I probably will spend up at this position for Crying. I do think E-Star is going to get back on track tonight and have a big outing. And stacking with Crying, the best stack with him is his teammate Wink at 8,400. So looking at Wink, Betty looks fine at his price. Hybrid, 68, looks good as well. And then Kramer played very well. He's cheap too if you think that Lgd Gaming can pull off an upset here. But Wink and Crying are the two that have the highest upsides or one of the highest ceilings on the slate. And I do think that they're going to get right pretty soon. So go with them at their positions. Support, a little bit tough to get to. Shao C, 6,200, but he has the highest upside most games. There are cheap options, as always, at support with like Secret is 4,600. You have Cold at just 5,200. Tussin at 5,400. Scene at 5,400 looks good. To round out, if you're stacking a 4-3 stack or a 3-2-2 stack with KTES. And then team-wise, I think that there's a good opportunity to go a little bit cheap at team tonight. I do think that there's probably going to be a couple of upsets, whether it be Lgd Gaming at only 4,000 pulling off an upset, or Rogue Warriors pulling off an upset, or even APK Prince pulling off an upset. So to spend up at some other position is probably what I'll do and spend down at team, just because I do like a couple upsets. Probably like the Prince one, I think. But they're not that heavily not favored, but I do think they could win this game. And could Lgd Gaming or Rogue Warriors could easily pull off an upset as well. I don't think I'll spend all the way up to 6,200 for RNG or spend all the way up at 58 for OMG tonight. Over on Fanduel, the pricing is pretty similar today, unlike in days past. So the teams that I'm kind of looking to stack are pretty much the same on both sites. Starting at the bottom here, team-wise, APK Prince is the cheapest, which I do not agree with. They are a great value at just 7,000. So I like them. Still on FanDuel, I still love the KT stack on FanDuel, and E-Star stack looks good as well. At 1.5x here, Wink, easier to get to on FanDuel because you're not paying extra for him to play him at captain. So Wink, I like at 10k at the captain spot. Top lane, you have Xiaobai 8,500 looks good. Sowan at 8,300 looks fine as well. And if you want to go with the APK top, he looks pretty good at 7,800. Jungler, I'm looking at like Wii 8,800. You have Bono at just 8,200. Peanut, if you think that they can pull off an upset, is only 8,300, and he's been playing pretty well. But I like Bono at jungler. It's pretty cheap at 8,200. At mid, Crying looks great at his price, 9,100. That's kind of it. I think I'll probably go expensive at this position. You have Kuro at just 8,200 as well, who looks like a spot that he could spend down at, but probably will be spending up at this spot for like Crying at 91. And then ADC-wise, I like aiming a lot at 9,700. You have Betty that looks fine as well. SMLZ 10,100. That's kind of it. If you want to go very cheap, you could take a shot on Hybrid, who's only 9,000, or Kramer. But I will be probably having a salary tonight, so feel like fine with paying up for aiming 9,700. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for this slate for tomorrow morning. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. Drop a like if you enjoyed. You can follow on Twitter at the DFS Process. And you can check out the website, links in description, if you want to get on board. Thanks for watching. I'll be back tomorrow with another LOL video.